there really are no winners here. This is not a time for celebration, but a time for prayer. A time to pray for our family, our friends, and the Armstrong family, and their friends.
An intense and emotional few weeks at the Blackwell Thurman Criminal Justice Center, where family and friends of pro cyclist Anna Moriah Mo Wilson waited in hopes that justice was going to be served. Late last week, the jury found Kaitlin Armstrong, a yoga teacher, guilty for Wilson's death in Austin in May of 2022. Cameras were only allowed inside the courtroom on just a few occasions. Our CBS Austin, Jessica Taylor, was in the courtroom every day hearing arguments from the defense and the prosecution. You were taking notes from the beginning of this trial. First, it was a very long trial. And as we break down what you heard, we're going through a lot of this, and it just seems so circumstantial. They show that Armstrong's Jeep was in the area. Wilson's body was found just prior to Wilson's death.
Right.
Circumstantial, but also ties her to the scene. Experts also shared that Armstrong's DNA was tied to the gun that fired the shots that killed her. Also circumstantial, suspicious, but circumstantial.
That's right. One of the big questions was whether circumstantial evidence would be enough to convict. Ultimately, the jury decided that it was, and the prosecution was able to show that this evidence also tied back to one main theme: jealousy. Former friends of Armstrong said she talked about killing Wilson over her brief fling with Armstrong's ex-boyfriend, Colin Strickland. We also got a window into Armstrong's search history of looking at Wilson's social media for months and her profile on the fitness tracking app Strava. The defense tried to counter this by having witnesses testify that Armstrong was a calm and mild person and has never been violent, though ultimately the jury disagreed.
You know, this was so gut-wrenching. Kaitlin Armstrong will serve 90 years in prison and will be eligible for parole after 30 years. Though some people have voiced their opinion that they don't believe she should have been eligible for parole at all.
Yeah, Armstrong was facing a first-degree felony murder charge. She was not facing a capital murder charge. If she had been, then life in prison without parole would have been on the table. And I asked an experienced criminal defense attorney about this.
That was a decision by the DA's office. That's a discretionary decision by the prosecuting authority. And Jose Garza's office has come out as a progressive office from the get-go that is trying to push back on this mass incarceration.
Now, the Wilson family was in court every day listening to the grisly details of their daughter's murder while being a few feet away from the woman who ultimately was found responsible. Now, after sentencing, they said as a family they felt justice was served, but this was so gut-wrenching. And one thing that I noticed, they were so full of grace. They could have been much more angry, and of course they were emotional, but they gave her kind of, not a pass, but they said, you know what, there are no winners here.
You're right, and it's not hard to imagine. This is one of the worst experiences for their family. And Karen, Matt, and Eric Wilson spoke about how difficult this trial and the last year and a half have been. They said now they're focusing on their healing journeys and moving forward.
Moriah inspired everyone who knew her, and we are dedicated to preserving her legacy. She expressed a strong desire to serve others and to give back to her community. And we endeavor to do that with the Moriah Wilson Foundation, established in her honor.
In more of their remarks after the sentencing, they asked for prayers for their family and friends and for Armstrong's.
Just so heartbreaking again. You know, you wonder what's going to happen next. All these families' lives seem to be destroyed. At least the future of that scholarship will at least bring some joy to some other people. But
right.
So again, no winners. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and get the latest news by downloading the CBS Austin News app.